welcome back to It's All Good podcast. My name is Max. I'm the host of this podcast, and if you're new here, I like to have creative people that do cool creative things and have them talk about what they do behind what their work is or what they do for fun. So that's the crux of this podcast. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here and that sounds interesting to you. I'd really appreciate it. On this episode, I have a good friend of mine who is a filmer friend, and he kind of talks about what he does behind the scenes of like filming skating. We talk about like ethics and talk about wow, that sounds boring. Ethics, great way to introduce your podcast, Max. But anyway, you get the point. We talk about him filming skating and behind the scenes of what he does. And a lot more cool stuff, actually. It's not just that. There's a lot more that goes into it. So that's why we did the episode. And yeah, it's just good to catch up with him. He's a good dude. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. And yeah, I'll let it start from here. So enjoy the episode and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. All right, enjoy. Rolling. Sick.
I got my lav mic on. Look how cool I look. Double fucking on time. This is my first podcast experience, actually.
Dude, first podcast? So stoked to hear that. I ask everybody that at the beginning of my podcast, and it's been like so many people's first time, and now it's your first.
Dude, first
so
time.
Sick.
Hopefully, Chris Roberts will see this and see my potential for being on the 9 Club.
Hey, Chris Roberts, put him on. Put my boy on the 9 Club if you see this, all right?
That's the homie, dude. Those dudes are the fucking best. We love them.
We love the 9 Club.
How long have you been doing this podcast for? When you said you're like, hey, you want to be part of my podcast? I was like, the fuck?
It's been since like halfway through quarantine, I think. Which is when I bought a microphone, and when I bought a. I've obviously had a camera, but I bought a microphone and then I like got the audio software and then I realized I was like, I should do a podcast because I talk a lot. I don't ever shut up.
Yeah, you do. It's sick that you're making a podcast. I think that's super fucking cool and super fucking rad.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's got 90 subs so far.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's fucking go.
Maybe 95 now. But
beautiful.
I spend a lot of time watching and listening to podcasts, so I was like, I'm here. I might as well do it, you know? I gotta step up to the podcast plate.
Yeah, you're in the stew. You're making it happen. Trying to make sure I was in focus. It's my first time self-filming too. It's pretty neat. New different experience. For sure.
Dude, sick. We love that.
But definitely not my not my first experience in front of the camera, which is nice.
Damn. Hell yeah. You're used to it. You're ready.
Yeah, well, it's such an easy thing too when it's like being a filmer and then like being on the other end of the camera where just like, oh, I know what I would want to hear, so that's just what I say. Essentially.
Right.
And then people are always like, they're like, oh, that was like really good. Like, holy shit. Or I'll just fucking veer so far off, like, into some fucking other shit. Like, it's insane sometimes. Could be worse.
Could be, exactly. Yeah, dude, thanks again for coming on to my podcast. I appreciate it.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, Max 95.
Come on, the name's retired. We're bringing it back already. Yeah, dude. And okay, first off, I didn't introduce him. This is my good friend Nick. Nick is currently living in California. He's a filmer friend of mine. He's a great skater, great just overall person. He's so talented, and that's kind of what this podcast is. I have people that do creative things on, and hey, skateboarding's included, so we're counting it.
Skateboarding's included, I guess. I mean, it's mostly just because of course, it's such a big part of your life too, and part of mine. Where when are you gonna have Ariel on?
Next, dude. I already had Corey on. Gotta have Ariel next.
Damn, yo.
Yo, Trabajando. Oh, Fargo too. Hey.
That's right. I rock this shit all the time, Corey. Thank you for all the gear.
So sick.
Fuck yeah, dude. Make that shit happen. And I appreciate all the love that you guys give me. Like, for real. Everyone shows me so much love from, like, back home in the city and everything, and it's dope. It's cool to see everyone, like, thriving and fucking making shit happen. It's cool to see.
I think that's what keeps us going with it, too. Like, other than the excitement of it, it's like, you can only have so much fun, but there needs to be that, like, moral community support within it. And I think that's what also keeps us. Some people think I'm crazy for skating, and I have to explain this to them sometimes. I'm just like, yeah, dude, it's a community. Like, everyone, we all, like, support each other. We all skate, and we all have fun together.
Well, it's one of those things, too, like, with skating, it just goes full circle, and everyone's in the same boat at, like, different stages in their life, or just, like, everyone can relate on so many different levels of stuff. And then it's, like, in skateboarding, everyone has such that easy common denominator with each other because of skating, but then you kind of, like, peel through like the onion of everything and go into like everyone's life stories of what it is, and you're building bigger and like bolder like relationships with people because you're like, oh, like people have like some good or some bad family stuff that they can all talk about, or it's something, you know, or it's just like, oh, like oh, my parents went and skated too. Like, my parents never fucking skated, so I fucking have no idea, you know. It's like my parents grew up in like a super small like rural town in like the middle of Illinois, where it's just like, it's like, even like for me to wanting to pursue skateboarding, like that was not a reality.
Right.
Well, it's like, of course, like now it's different because skateboarding is huge and skateboarding's in the Olympics and everyone has a boner for skateboarding now. But it's just like, dude, like 5 years ago, like, no, not at all.
I know. It's crazy. It's become like, I think even during quarantine, it brought out a lot more people skating.
Oh, 100%.
I noticed like way more people at skate parks than usual, and I think it was just a good way to get outside.
And you'll notice like a crew of like little kids. Well, I don't know if it's the same thing in Illinois, but like out here, like I'll notice like the same amount of like little kids. Like there'll be like little kids, like little skate crew people, and there's always more girls than guys. Always.
That's so sick.
And all the little girls are way gnarlier than all little boys. Like, it's fucking sick. They fucking send it way harder. Like, I love it. It's so fucking sick. Like, when we went to, like, when I was out in Des Moines for, like, Dew Tour and everything, me and Mario went up to Minnesota, like, one day. And there's all these, like, little, like, there's this whole, like, little group, but there's just one little girl in the little kid group. And she was just, like, so like confident. She's like, oh, hello, like, hi, you're Mario McCoy, like, you're Mario McCoy. And she's like, oh, yes, I am. Like, well, how are you doing? And just like so like confident and just fucking poised, and it was just so fucking cool to see. And then she ripped the gnarliest out of anybody. But I mean, that's what happens when you're a product third layer. So
right. That's so sick to hear. I'm so stoked to hear that,
dude. It's crazy.
That's like one thing that I wanted to bring up too on this podcast, because so just to give a little frame of reference, Nick kind of mentioned already, but he like films out in California, so he's like hanging out with like professional skaters and like people that a lot of other people know,
like who?
which is like not the norm for everybody.
What do you mean, like skating with like Tom Astor or something?
Yeah, and like Mario and like people that like a lot of other people know.
People trip the fuck out about the Tom Astor thing. Always. Dude, we'll be walking anywhere. Like, we could be anywhere in the whole world and like someone will recognize Tom. Like, I remember there was one when we were in Spain, when we were on like our solo like Spain trip, we were just like walking down like in the train, and then like all these people were just like, that's Tom Astor, and like he's so like used to it, but I like freak out too. I'm like, dude, that's Tom Astor. Like, no fucking way. It's the best, dude, and he's such like the nicest and like most like humble person. And he's a full blown dad. Like, he has 3 kids, and they're fucking dope. Like, they're so cool.
So sick. That is, I want to be his age and be like in his spot skating.
Dude, you know? It's just because he set himself up for success and like did so much from the beginning, and then now it's just like you're chilling. Like, you made the name for yourself, where it's like, it doesn't matter where you're at, you're still Tom Asta.
That's actually a great segue into this thing. So, sorry, this is not very organized, but...
Welcome to my life. Well, communicatively, sometimes not organized. Everything else is very organized.
Yeah, we're both like organized people, so it's actually kind of funny. But
we're just excited to talk to each other.
Yeah, I think it's been a while. But yeah, I mean, like, that was one topic I wanted to bring up is just, okay, so I guess I'll just run through all the topics.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to talk about is how you've built a name for yourself out in California, because you started back in Iowa when you first started skating, and then you kind of bounced around a bunch. So that was the other topic I want to talk about, is how you moved around from like Iowa, Chicago, LA, and you're just kind of moving around. And then I also just wanted to talk about like your overall like experience with filming and kind of what got you into it.
Okay.
And how that whole thing happened. So, yeah, I guess with that said, let's take that from the top then. So,
from the beginning?
From the very beginning here. So, I know I kind of said it out of order, but we'll start back when you were in Iowa. Like, what got you into skating? Like, what was like, ooh, this is my thing?
I remember it was like a thing where I grew up in this town called Ankeny, Iowa, which is like 10 miles like north of Des Moines. And I remember just like one day, I think I was like 5 or 6 or something, like the neighbor across the street, he skated. And I saw him like skate, and then I was just like so in awe with what it was, and just didn't know what it was. And then my dad is an engineer. He works for the city, and then he was actually building the skate park in the town. And so I remember going to the skate park like the opening day, and just like seeing like all these people and how stoked everyone was. But I was just like a little kid. And I just remember and then even remember going there trying to skate. Like I remember I would only go in the mornings. I would only go, we have to go early in the morning so that there's no one there, so that I'm not in anyone's way.
It's the early morning chase. That's how it is at parks. They get crowded unless you're there early.
Well, and then it's just, I don't know, sometimes it gets easier, especially out here, now as you go, so if I want to go have a solo session and go skate for myself and go do what I want to do, I just go make it happen. Oh, hello.
The visitor on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a dog. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. But just
you said, so yeah, you got up early to go to the skate parks.
We would always go up early to go to skate parks, and then I wasn't really good at skating, to be honest, at all. And that's kind of how I got kind of wrapped up in the filming and everything, just because so then we moved from our one house to we moved to another neighborhood, but then there was more kids that skated in that neighborhood. I met my friend Peyton, this dude named Drew, Peyton Myers and Drew Lappy, this dude named I can't think of his last name. His name was David. But everyone all skated and everything, and then Drew was the one who had the camera, and he was just he would be making YouTube videos, and being on YouTube was such a big deal at the time, because it was it's whoa, no fucking way, holy shit.
YouTube was crazy back then. There was not that many people on YouTube back then. So if you were on YouTube, everyone was what? You're on YouTube?
Yeah.
And it was a big deal.
It was just now it's such a normal thing where it's everyone has a fucking phone in their pocket, so. And then, yeah, I just wasn't fucking good at skating. Just got handed the camera, and I was just okay, here you go. Everyone else was so much better than me, and I was word. And then it just kind of stuck pretty much. I don't know.
Who handed you the camera?
The homie Drew did.
That's sick.
It was his camera, and he'd make all these edits, do it to iMovie and everything, and I just would film. It was just such a weird kind of new thing. And then I remember I didn't really watch too many skate videos growing up, but one of the first videos I did watch was almost round 3. And then watching all that shit, and then I remember my friend Peyton brought over Fully Flared, and that was the thing that changed everything for me. I'm just like, fuck. And he showed me Mike Mo. Mike Mo's fucking bug, which is so crazy because it's like, it was funny because Mike Mo came on one of those Zoomies trips and it was just like, I was like tripping out. Like, every time I see him, I fan the fuck out. I don't fucking care. I would too. I like low-key fan out on everybody. I think it's hilarious. Not like in like a way where it's like, oh my God, like, I'll walk up like in like a serious tone. We're just like, yeah, you're fucking sick. And just like, oh, I'm like, dude, I used to fucking like, just like little kid fan out shit. Cause it happens all the time. And you didn't expect it. There's been so many times where like, I'll be out skating with Melcher and I have like a pro homie that I'm hanging out with and they're like, I can't believe I get to skate with you, Patrick Melcher. Like, you're fucking so sick. Like, you're like one of my idols. Like, I'm like, damn, that's so fucking wild to think that that's like, just like the relevance in everything. Like, that's so fucking sick.
That's so sick. But, and that's like something that I wanted to dig into too later on. Is like, it's more of like a generalized topic, but I'll have you keep going on this. But like, that's the hard thing with skating is like, at least when I grew up with it, it was like, there's no money in skating. You're not gonna like, you can't like make a career out of skating. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, that was like that was the vibe. And I don't know if that's like a typical like, I think that's applies to like a lot of stuff that you do that's not the like 9 to 5. Everyone kind of like goes to that drawback. And so that's one thing I like, you know, I applaud you for, because you're like, I'm stepping out of this. I'm gonna stick with this filming skating thing.
For
and you
the
did.
skating thing, to be honest, like, it wasn't anything that I like expected it to work. It just kind of all like happened. Everything just kind of like came into play, like, more or less. But it's like, to be honest, like, the whole reason why skateboarding even worked was because of the Zoomies contest. Was because of Zoomies best foot forward, like what Sean Turner did for me and everything, and like what Melcher, and like, dude, going on that first Zoomies trip was like the ultimate film school for me. Like,
Yup.
To be honest, like, well, it's like, one, like, learning, because there's so much more that goes into skateboarding than the actual act of skateboarding.
Correct.
Which is like, so many people like don't even think about it, but it's like, dude, there's like van camaraderie, like how you are in the van. You're in a long road trip, like you're driving 6-7 hours, like how can you hand up in the van, but being with strangers.
Right.
It's like all the time, and just like van etiquette and just like room etiquette and like living situation etiquette and just like other things that go on skate trips aside from skating, and then how like the filmer acts like with the people skating and how it is, and like your energy and how like you're communicating and like being like the hype man and all this and that. And then it's just like, oh, doing this, and then also like having like the pretty much like the confidence to direct and like make things happen and be like, oh, hey, I need to do this. We're just like, oh, hey, could you do this? Like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, let's get this. Boom, 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 boom. Like, working with like all the Santa Cruz people would make it so much easier. Like, it's such a crazy thing where like a year ago when we started making like all those like YouTube like vlog videos and stuff, it was so like, it's like, whoa, like, I don't know, like, this is kind of crazy. Now it's like kind of fun. Like, they're super fun to make because they're so just like, they're just super easy. We're just like, filming regular everything that we do. Like, we would always try and make it so much bigger than the thing is. We're just like, oh, people just want to see regular day shit. And just like, oh, okay. And then it's fun, like making them all super fucking funny and like doing skits and shit. Like, that shit's dope. But dude, it's like, especially from like, oh man. And then like on the Zoomies thing too, it was like, when I got to learn all these like different filming things and like being contracted for the Berrics, like having like my first like official like skate gig essentially, and just like, if it honestly wasn't for like Zoomies and then having all these like different teams that rotated out every 2 weeks, whereas like, because it was a 4-month-long tour. And so it's like 16 weeks, and so it's like every week or two there's like a new team. So I have 14 different like opportunities to like showcase my skills, but also just being like a 19-year-old kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And when did you go from the tour when you were living in Chicago at the point, or were you Iowa?
No, actually, because when I was, there's so much. It's kind of such a crazy story where it's just like it's almost like hard to like
Pinpoint.
Well, like pinpoint stuff, but like there's like so much stuff that goes into like how I got to being in California, where it's like growing up and skating in like Des Moines and being a part of that scene and like with Subsect and like Kevin Jones, like the dude who runs the skate shop, and then same thing with like because like Heath was running the skate shop at the time, and just like Heath Kirchhoff was the first pro skater I ever saw like in person.
Whoa.
And then just in the store, just like walked in the room one day, just like, oh, this is him, like, oh shit. And then it's like one of those things too where like I didn't really understand how much pull like Subsect had in the industry, and how like because like Leo Romero and like Ernie Torres and like Heath and like all these like super gnarly like big name pros were like riding for the shop, and then just like why? And then just like, oh, just because they love Kevin and Christy, like they're just like super awesome people. But it was just mad funny because I used to get so much shit. Like I would just get shit on so much by Kevin. Just fucking he makes fun of me so much and just do so much shit, and just like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous. But then
Did
like,
it feel weird?
At the time it did, but then now I look back and I'm like, oh, like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like I used to get fucked with so much when I was a kid, but I was like the little kid who wanted to hang out with all the big kids and like make shit happen.
Same.
And then this like the main filmer like in Des Moines, his name's Kyle Jordan. He like moved to Kansas City to go to like high school. I'm not high school, to go to like art school and stuff. And so then like he left and there was like no one to film, and then it kind of like was looked to me. But it's funny, I like have never made a street video. Like I've never made like my own full length video.
No.
Like, well, just because I never had time. It was like from when I started going to Chicago, like because my parents split up when I was 12, and my mom moved to Chicago when I was 13. And then we lived in like Brookfield and like Bartlett, and then like the north side of the city. And then like those are all cool because it's like I got to meet so many different crews of people like around the whole like Chicago like suburb area. But I'll probably...
We got to skate a bunch then, too.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when my mom lived in Bartlett. And then she used to live down the street from Board Shop, which is sick.
That's right.
Dude, you used to love
You got
skating.
to see, Board Shop.
Dude, I fucking know Steve. That's my dude.
You've had all the experience in the world. Like, you got to see, like, the core of Chicago.
Dude,
you came to Fargo.
Going to Fargo before Fargo was even Fargo. Like, when it was small town. And like, dude, I showed up on like the scene, like I like showed up there like when I was like 16 or something. And then I remember Ariel was actually the first person who ever paid me to go like film skating.
No way! That's so sick.
We did the All City Showdown, and then she gave me like $100 because I skipped school.
That's dedication.
It was sick. It was funny. I was like really hyped. That was like a really cool, like awesome opportunity, and like especially getting to do like the last All City Showdown in Chicago. Yeah. Like that was fucking something super sick. And I think
I was on the last one too, and that was the only one I ever did, and that was
I only got to do the one.
Slashed.
But I remember I went and bought my easy handle like the day before. Like I got shipped to
I didn't know that.
I got shipped to my house, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, yes, I'm so hyped. And I've been running it ever since that All City Showdown.
I have 2 easy handles now for some reason.
Damn sick. Hold on to them. That's dope.
Those things are rare. They sold, for people listening, they sold on their website for like a handful of years, and then one year they're just gone. Like if you film skating, it's like the perfect skate handle.
Yeah,
because it's
so
like counterbalanced
good.
and it feels good, and like select people have it. So if you have it, you're kind of gold if you have it. You know?
Like, Jason Hernandez did a great job of making the handle with his dad.
Yeah, that thing, it's so good.
It's so sick.
Keeps
but dude, it's even like that stuff's fun. Well, then one thing that I always like trip out is like, especially with like, I feel like since I like moved around like a bunch like in Chicago, it's like I would always like hang out with so many different groups of people, and I would always be like going back and forth from everybody, and it would be like, oh, like dude, I used to like another dude was like Orlando De La Rosa, like from Prosper, Like, dude, Prosper fucking set me up so much for so much shit. Like he would let me like do commercials and stuff, and just like go skating, especially with like Georgie, like Rodriguez and everyone. And then like, dude, just meeting so many different fools, and just like, and then Grant got built, and just like expanding more and more and more. And then I remember fucking, dude, it was a crazy thing. Like when Street League came to Chicago, like Street League came like the week before I moved to LA, and I remember I met Chase like at that thing, and I have a photo with him. I have a photo with him there.
Berrics filmer.
But then I went and before I went and did Do Tour, I was doing all these like national contests with the Berrics and like helping film and edit and stuff. But like I really
I didn't know. I didn't like realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare. We had to do like, well, because they asked me like, hey, would you be down to help us like film like a contest thing? And I was like, for sure, that sounds dope. So I did like the street, and then I had to help film and like edit. And so we had like 8 different cameras going, but they wanted it to like be cut like a live stream. So like it would, yeah, like, so I had to like, we all stayed up for a fucking day, like 2 days. Well, they stayed up for 4 days. Like, they're fucked up. Like, I don't care. That shit's insane. But yeah, I like stayed up for like 2 days, like just like filming and editing like straight for like a weekend. Just it was like Friday.
Yeah, Nick is a pro editor here, by the way. I forgot to mention that.
We went like Friday, we filmed the contest all day, and then I helped like do some like editing stuff like that Friday. And then they're like, oh hey, could you come down to Vista, like to the California training facility for this, like for the park contest, and like help edit too, because it had like a day of practice and then like the actual like contest. I was like, for sure, like I'm fucking down. So the whole next day just editing all day, just like making this live stream. And then we stayed up the whole night, and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever like had a full like work day thing. But they were like, but Chase was like, oh yeah, dude, it's like if you want to like go to bed or something, like feel free. I was like, well, I'm like, if you guys are gonna stay up, I'm gonna stay up too. So I'm like, if you guys are gonna be in this too, like we're in this together, you know. It's like, yeah, I don't want to like, yeah, especially because we were on such a time crunch, or just like
tight schedule. Yeah.
We had to fucking figure this thing out to like, it's like if I didn't finish my video, someone else had to do it, but they're already all working on other shit already too. So it's just like, fuck. Yeah. But yeah, that shit.
You were right in the crosshairs.
It was fun, dude. That shit was so much fun. And then Do Tour was sick, dude. Do Tour was so much fun.
I feel like you needed that experience, and you needed that like feeling, I guess, in order for you to like realize like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is like what I gotta do. At least
this was in May. This was like this year.
This was this year.
Yeah,
this was way back.
Oh no. This was just this year. But the reason why I was saying that is just because I remember because like me and Chase got to actually like kick it and hang out for like a significant amount of time, and he was just like, he's like, you're pretty cool, dude. I was like, yeah, dude, you want to see this photo of us from like when we first met? He's just like, what do you mean? Dude, and it was just so funny because like he got like a little bit bigger, and then I got like slimmer, which is mad funny. So I'm like, oh, it looks like you got on my weight. Dude, Chase is funny though. He's a good dude.
That's so funny. If people that don't skate are listening to this, the Berrics is like, that's like the skate like center, I guess, house, if you will, in California essentially.
It's one of them.
And Chase is like the filmer out there too.
And he's also a fucking Illinois kid. He's from Plainfield, Illinois.
Illinois dude. Mm-hmm. Which is so crazy. That's a crazy thing too, is like how everybody does that. They go from like the Midwest out to California to pursue skating, because like skating's pretty big out here, but it's also like it's becoming bigger out here, I should say. But it's like the home of it's California, I think. Name
some heads who are like doing it. There's like 10 fools like in all of Chicago who are like relevant in like the skateboarding world.
Yeah,
I can maybe name 4.
Ariel right now for sure, like for sure on that list. Oh, you mean like people that like?
I'm talking about skaters, like skaters.
Oh, skaters.
Like there's 4. You have Chaz, Nick Matthews, Justice, and then Ariana.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 people who are like doing something.
They're Yeah, they're so good. I'm actually filming with Justice right now. We were just filming like 2 nights ago.
Sick.
We're filming some stuff, so that's going on. I know
The people love him in his skating.
Yeah, he's so good.
Ariana is telling me that
sick.
she's moving to Long Beach here pretty soon.
Yeah, she is. I wasn't sure if that was public information or not.
Oh, that's what she told me.
I was like, maybe I think it is at this point, but yeah, they'll be out there, which is really cool. People, that's like a big thing.
Her and Justice are going, or
her and Ronald.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about is like, what? So out in California, once you obviously worked your way up from like Iowa, filming at the skate parks, and then filmed out in Chicago, and you just been like rolling around filming everybody. Between then, like, I guess what's been like the most like fun experience for you from like then till now? Like what is something that you're gonna look back on and be like, dude, this has been like the thing I'm gonna tell someone about, or like?
That's a good question. To be honest, it's kind of even like hard to say because everything is such a big wild ride, and it's almost like I'll have like one thing that'll like lead to the next, like to another thing that completely like outweighs everything that I've fucking already done. Like, to be honest.
I mean, like, you've traveled like out to different countries and gone filming. I think that's pretty significant. Like, I don't think everyone gets that.
To be honest, it's kind of, yeah. Like in 2019, I did 3 Euro trips in 3 months.
That's insane.
Like, that was super cool. It was like Spain for the whole month of April, and then went back for this Euro tour with Santa Cruz. And we went to 9 different countries, and then back to Copenhagen.
Dude, yeah, traveling's probably got to be one of the things that's up there.
Oh, dude, and it's like, so much fun.
This is one question that I wanted to ask, because like it might be like an obvious answer, and it might be an obvious question, but like, what between like filming in Chicago and filming like, not saying they're nobody, but like filming like our friends versus filming like professionals, like what has been like the biggest like divider there? Is it like I guess I've maybe filmed a professional like once or twice, but like not intentionally. So I don't know what that's like. Like, what's the main difference that separates it?
I wouldn't really say there's like a difference. It's more of like I treat it the same way as like it's like
filming the homies.
You're just filming the homies. Well, and one of those things too, where it's just like I put in 110% for the clip. Like I'm gonna give you my all and make sure that like you look the absolute best that I can do. Where it's like if you're gonna give it 110%, I'm gonna give it 110%, maybe even more. We're just like mostly because at the end of the day, everything's all about filming. You could do you could fucking backflip El Toro, and if someone films it like shit, no one's gonna fucking care. But that's like the thing though. That's like the whole entire thing, and people don't like realize that or like take that into like realization about things. Where it's just like, oh yeah, these are the certain things where it's like, oh yeah, it's like how it's filmed. It's like how you do everything. It's like how you cut everything together. And it's just like how you transition your audio. Like audio is like the biggest thing, to be honest, to me. We're just like, oh. Like I can tell like if someone makes like a VX video or like some like homie video thing and they're just like it's like super harsh cuts on all the audio, it's just like garbage. I do not fucking care.
Well, the thing that I was thinking about too is like you film professionals enders. Like I feel like that's not like the thing you just walk up and do and like you're done with it, right? Like it's like there's a lot of pressure with that, right? Because it's like first off you're filming something that not only are they like skating on a higher level than everybody else, but your clip is put on a platform that there's like several hundred thousand, if not millions of people staring at. So it's like you're sitting here in a maybe, I don't know, hour-long time span focusing on this ender that all these people are going to see versus like me, I'm like filming an ender that like if I'm lucky, like 400 people are going to see type of thing. So it's like, I'm sure there's like way more pressure on that, and you're like, oh, I can't I like cannot fuck this up in any way.
It just goes in the same thing where it's just like giving it 110%, making it like happen. It's just like being aware of like A to B. Just like, it's like, oh, okay, like this is what you're trying. Like what tricks are you talking about? There's some, it also depends on the environment and where you're at and what spot you're at. Like when I was like filming like Manny's like Nollie Heel 5-0 at Clipper, like I wasn't really super nervous for that. I'm just like, oh, like this is mellow. Like, but filming like when I was filming E-Man's Ender for Till the End Volume 5, like that was gnarly because it was like 4 o'clock on a Friday, like in 4 lanes of traffic, and it was like raining and like dealing with like water and all this fucking shit. Like, well, it'd just be like, because I had to stand in the middle of the street, but just like, oh, you don't want to stand in the middle of the street because that's how you can get kicked out of spots. Like I've gotten kicked. Like I've had like cops get called on like me for standing in the street, not because we were skating.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, what is that like out in LA? Like in Chicago, it's weird because like everything gets capped, as you know, like stuff gets capped, and then like stuff that isn't capped is becoming more well known because of what you said earlier, like how skating is getting more popular. More people are going to these spots, so like nowadays, like when I go to like a spot that's like, I don't know, Chase Ledges, for example, or like something like that that's pretty well known, the security or like there's a car or something that pulls up within the first like 20 minutes of the session on like a weekday that's like, guys, like, come on,
they know.
Wrap it up, get out of here. But in LA, it feels more laid back in a way, and like,
dude, they have some. Well, the courthouse is a whole different thing. Like, that's a skate spot. Like, that's a skate park. You're good. You can skate there whenever. It's gonna be actually. I heard it's getting taken down.
I heard that too.
But that's good. Fuck that place.
But like, I guess a better example would be like, I don't know. You
it all just depends on where you're at. It just like most of the time, like people don't care. It's like like in LA, like proper, like the cops are like really cool about skating. That's like if they like show up, they're like, it's like, hey, you guys got to go. It's because it's so like frequent. I'd say it's more like the people get upset, like the people who like own or like live in the businesses or something, where it's just like, because I'll have times like where I've like got kicked out of a spot and somebody would be like, you guys just don't stop coming, like, oh my god, like I just kicked someone out like 2 minutes before you showed up, and just like, oh. But it's the same thing where it's just like, especially in LA, because everyone congregates here, and so just like once there's a hot spot, just like, oh, this spot's like, this is a new spot, you better go get it while you can. Just like, yeah. And it's such a funny thing too, where it's just like in like having that like in LA, like you'll run up on like random ass teams. I guess it's like where it's like, oh, I mean like a film with Santa Cruz, and so it's like with the Santa Cruz team most of the time. But then just like, oh, like there was a time where we would always end up at the same spots as the Plan B team, and so I was like, hey, it looks like we got our Plan B if Santa Cruz doesn't work out. But we were just always every weekend, like every spot, we would like drive down to like Orange County or something, and then Plan B team's there. We're just like, dang, we just keep running into you guys. But just because at the time we were just like, all these like bump to ledge spots were like really popping, so, and they're all fucking super tech wizards. And really, Chris Jocelyn's fucking gnarly. The Plan B team is gnar.
They are. Those guys are absolutely crazy. Like, some of the sickest skaters, straight up, I think, honestly.
They're wild.
It's, yeah, dude, it's crazy. I know what you're saying, though. It's like once... crazy, like... Okay, that's a name that everybody knows, okay? If you don't know that... Ryan
Sheckler.
Quick Google search.
Dude, yeah.
But that's crazy. Like, I think... That's how you get kicked out of spots easier, like when there's more people at a spot sometimes. Or like, sometimes it's the other way around though. Sometimes like they see enough people at it, we almost like blend in and you don't get kicked out. It's like kind of weird. Like, it
just all depends.
It's like the strangest thing, but it's
half the time they have way more gnarly shit to worry about out here.
Yeah, that's what I seem to hear a lot about LA. Is that it's more laid back, because I'm so sick of being kicked out of spots. Have you ever been given a ticket at a skate spot, like you for filming?
No, I've gotten threatened with tickets, but I got like a skateboarding citation one time for like riding my board on Hollywood Boulevard, but like it wasn't a ticket. Like I didn't have to like pay a fine or anything. But no, I've never like gotten a ticket from skating. or like from filming or anything. Like mostly they'll be a little more gnarly about like the filming stuff, because like the skating shit just like whatever, like, but it's just like, oh, you're filming, like you don't have a permit, you don't have this, and it's just like, oh, well, and then it's just like, oh, it's like especially if you're filming like with a tripod and you have your shit all like set up, and just like, oh, that's it. This isn't some like fucking like little production thing. It's like, this is like some serious shit. Just like, oops.
Yeah, I've been like threatened before for filming, being like, if you don't get out of here, we're gonna have to write you a ticket, type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm gonna leave. I'm not like,
the threat like, shit is just so funny. We're just like, what the fuck is the point?
So I guess that's like, I don't know if this is a good segue or not, but I guess so. You've been filming out that you filmed for Santa Cruz, you said, filmed for Berrics, and then who else like are you? I always ask you this, but like, I feel like it's like you said, you're always jumping around other teams.
It's mostly just like,
who are you filming with now?
Mostly just honestly, mostly just do a lot of work with NHS and like Santa Cruz and everything. But since like LA, there's literally just one Santa Cruz rider here now. Because when I first moved out, like when I was first living here, like Remillard was here, Josh Borden when he was on the team lived in here, like Blake Johnson was here, and then like Mario came too, and then like Henry was here too, and so we had like 5 different team riders. So it's like they needed like an LA like filmer, and then now everyone's kind of more like spread out, and so which makes it's not too hard. And then it's like, to be honest, I just go skate with whomever. Just go skate with Mario, and then it's just like whoever hits me up or whoever like I want to go skate with. Like go skate with like Nordberg or something. Go skate with Mickey Papa. Go skate with like TJ Rogers or something. Just like go with Kenny Anderson, like whomever. Like honestly, and then mostly just do Santa Cruz stuff, and then like if anything would be like, oh, like hey, we need something for like Ricta or for Mob or for Crux or for Indy or something, and then mostly it's like for all those like different sponsorships, it goes with like just Santa Cruz team riders. So I mostly just hang out with like just hang out with the Santa Cruz guys, to be honest. What do you enjoy filming the most out of like those guys? Do you like filming lines the most, or do you like filming single clips? Or I love filming lines.
Really?
Because people hate filming lines.
It's true. It's so true.
Well, my whole thing is like, it's like one of those things where it's like it's like that's like my craft and how I can like curate like how people do it. It's like when people do like lines like skating, like it's like, damn, that's like sick, like the fluidity where it's just like trick after trick after trick. Same thing goes with filming, which is like, how can I like, it's like, how can we make this fucking orchestra of ballet like work together?
And I think that's one thing that you've actually taught me, to be honest. Like I think I like walked into filming skating myself, just like filming friends around the park, same way as you, and like go around filming at Fargo and just like getting better. But I think it wasn't until you came into town, I like showed you a line I filmed or something, and you were like, yo dude, like you gotta do this, or like you're like telling me some stuff, and then like I like filmed a long lens clip, and you're like, dude, no, you gotta do this, like you fucked up. And I was like, what am I doing? What? And then you're like, no, do it like this. And I definitely to this day like will film stuff, and I'll be like, I did that because Nick told me. Like
sick.
That's the way to do it. And it's cool. Like it makes me focus more on the clip. It makes me realize like the right thing. There's a lot that goes into like, especially like filming skating that you wouldn't think about. Where it's like what you would think is like, oh, this would be like the good like angle to show this at. You're like, and then sometimes you're like, oh, but then you'll want to show like one thing, but then you're hiding another thing. Yeah. Where it'd be like, that's like one thing that I really learned with like filming transition more, and like filming grabs, and like when people do like grabs and inverts and like eggplants and all that stuff, and then we're just like, it's like, oh, I want to film someone in their front so I can see their face, but they're doing a stale fish. It's just like, you could see like them grabbing, but their body's blocking the board, and it's just like, then you can't see the trick. It's like you gotta see their face, but you didn't get to see the trick. And so it's like being aware of like those certain things, and then like say like filming like a front side trick or like something where it's just like, oh, kick a front crook or like a backside flip quick grind. It's like, it's almost like I do it more of like how like whichever way we're just like,
if you're like turning into the camera, I'd much rather have you turn into the camera than like if you're like oh, I get to see your face the whole ride up through, but like the other day I was filming this clip of Asta and he was like doing this full cab over like this little wall, and I was like filming it one way and I was like, oh, I wonder what this would look like the other way. But I had it so like he's like to the left of me, and I'm like here, and like the wall's like this way and he's going like down, but like how and it's like just like how your camera movements and just like being in your angle of like, because how it looked like, because he went like boom, turned in and then turned away, so it looks like he fucking did like an even more, like it just accentuated the 360 just even more. I was like, damn, this looks cool.
That's the way.
And then like having like sometimes like doing less camera movement is better, or doing more camera movement is better. Jesus. I don't know, it's such a crazy thing. And then like go with like where it's like, oh, sometimes like a static angle like looks the best, and you wouldn't even think fucking twice about like doing this. Like that's why I try and always film 2 angles of everything.
And the crazy thing about it too is like
the reason why I film 2 angles for everything, since I'm freelance, and if all other freelance filmers, 2 angles equals 2 individual clips.
True.
Boom.
True.
You just doubled your money right there.
I did. It's a good advice.
And you always film B-roll. Doesn't matter. You film a run up, and then it also goes with one thing where, say if you contributed like a clip or something, and like, oh, I have a second angle, I have like 2 run up things, and then say they only use your 1 clip. It's just like, all right, well, it's like, oh, I can put all of these 4 things that I filmed like on Instagram and make it like that much better. Just like showcasing like your skills and like what you have. And then it's also one of those things too where, say you're going to be contributing like more and more footage to somebody or like a team or like a company for a project, where just like they have all of like the B-roll and the run-ups and the bails and the fails to like help tell the story of a skate park. Because it's like, I'll watch skate videos now and it'll just be like trick, and I'm just like I don't fucking care, because everyone's good at skating now. But it's just like, you need to have like the personality. You want to see some like life in somebody's like eyes, essentially, where it's just like, damn, like you're fucking cool. Like I want to skate like, I want to skate like you. And it's like 2, I want to hang out with you. And then just like 3, holy shit, you're fucking amazing.
Yeah,
like, that's
what really gives it the kick.
Yeah, and just like you always need to have just a little more. Just it's nice to have the personality and to showcase that. That's like one thing that I'd never even like thought about, where it's just like, I'll go like watch like Fully Flared or something, and it's just like the little things, like the little details, little B-roll things, where it's like I'm always super like gnarly about like continuity and stuff, where it's just like, dude, like sometimes it's just like, if you have a B-roll shot, just use it. Or it's like, it doesn't have to be like the perfect thing for it. Like it's nice when it is like a cut in for like the trick before, but it's like, oh, you have this nice like funny like B-roll thing where it's like someone like laughing, like that shit's dope. Or it's like someone doing fucking something wacky that's not skating, like, because there's so much. It's super funny because like in skateboarding world, no one wants to talk about skateboarding, like, because we do it all the fucking time. When just like, dude, like me and Mario talk about like everything from like above and beyond. Like this morning he texted me, he's like, dude, I got to upgrade on my flight. Like, he's like, I got a seat upgrade. So I'm in first class now. I was like, damn, that's sick. But it's just like such simple little things like that, and like you look forward to like getting to do the like other stuff like on skate trips too, where it's like when we went in July for like Henry's celebration of life, like we stayed at this huge like Airbnb thing that was like right on the Mississippi River. So we all got to go, like we all went and got like tubes and like floated down the river and got like fishing poles and shit, and it was just like the best thing. It was so much fun, and like it was just good to like being together with everybody and like getting to kick it, and it was dope.
I think those are some of the like moments that make you appreciate skating the most.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, like you said earlier at the beginning, it's like connecting with people and being around them and like learning each person. Like you said, you learn stuff that you might have not known otherwise just through skating with people, which is like really cool. And the longer you hang out, the more you find out. And like you said, the more you text, you find out your homie's on first class.
Dude, yeah.
Like,
well, it's because we're on the same flight, so he's like, oh, I'm doing this now. I'm like, oh damn, you're fucking, I'm jealous.
One thing I'm back.
You're good. I've been going weird.
Every direction.
Yeah,
it's all
so
good.
you're
We're just kind of shooting the shit. Normally I like organize, but we're shooting the shit, and hopefully
Shooting
everyone's enjoying.
shit.
One thing I was gonna ask you about is like, it's so crazy how like you were saying earlier, the like clip makes the difference in the world. Like everyone's posting Instagram clips now, and like when I look at an Instagram clip, like especially with ledges, you'll see someone filming like that upper angle or like with that new like fisheye that's on the iPhones, and like people are like rolling real quick, and like I'll see like a ledge at like, I don't know, like Stoner Park or something. I'm like, oh damn dude, I'm gonna like slappy that ledge, and then like I'll look at it like at an actual picture on like Google or like for instance, I went to El Sereno. This is a great example. I saw, you know that ledge that's like on the side of the park?
Yeah,
there's like
the
that big
little
long
ledge.
like yellow, yeah. I thought that thing was like, I don't know what I thought it was, but I saw it on Instagram and I was like, oh dude, this thing is like whatever. And then like I got there and I was like, wait, this is actually bigger than the little that I thought it was already. And it's like, that's what makes like filming skating so much more important, because like
You gotta make it. You gotta showcase how gnarly everything is.
that's our job, like to make stuff look what it is. Because like when filming, I hate watching a skate video where it's filmed poorly and then I get to the spot and then I'm just like, dude, this is what the spot is? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then I'm just let down, and it's like, I wanted to know that I wanted to be slapped right in the face. I wanted to be like, yo, that spot is gnarly, before I drove 14 hours to the spot, you know, like
Goodness.
that's what makes us insane, dude. We'll like get in the car and be like, oh, for sure, 19 stair over in middle of Nebraska, for sure. We're driving there tomorrow. Let's get in the car and I'm like, but Nick, you're in LA. You're like, but there's a 19 stair in Nebraska, and someone else will be like, dude, there's 19 stair in my office, and we're like, nah, man,
it's
19 stair in
funny
Nebraska.
because like the Midwest is getting like way more hype and way more love right now. Well, because I feel like mostly because like everyone couldn't go to a lot of places, so like everyone kind of stayed like stateside, and so everyone's just like, oh, there's all this untapped stuff like out in all these like Midwest regions. Like when everyone came for a dude tour, dude, like so many people were asking me like about like shit and just like how come none of these spots are like capped and like no one like my dude, no one skates here like you guys. Where I'm like the best kid here like skates like the fucking 8 rail, you know? We're just like, dude, there's not people here hitting fucking like 13 stairs or like the perfect fucking 16 stair rail that's like at the church, you know? It's like,
yeah,
fools here haven't stepped up to that.
That's crazy. And it's like, that's the thing, like it's like what you're saying, there's like spots that are just completely untapped that are out here. And what I mean, like especially when I skate with Corey, like he's always like, dude, I found a new spot like out in DeKalb, or like, yo, I found a new spot like here and here, and we're like, he'll like invite me to it and we'll like sit there and like wax it, or sometimes he just does it on his own and he'll like get a spot going for the Midwest. And then like we all protect, that's the other weird thing about skating, is like we all are so protective about spots, but then once like 3, 4, 5 people start finding out, once like it hits like person 6, they start telling everybody. That's where everybody goes, and everyone's like, oh, I gotta look for the new spot that nobody knows. And that's what's like crazy, is there's always a new spot. And I think the thing that's insane is trying to explain spots to any other average person, right? Like someone that's just walking the street.
Take photos.
We're like walking the street and we're like, damn dude, that building though, like that thing, or like we're like looking at a stair, we're like, oh dude, that ground is so smooth, and like an average person walking by is like, why do they care about this ground? What is so
Oh,
like,
dude, it's
weird?
like when you're looking at like a stair set, like when a group of people just like all collectively look at a stair set together, we're just like, what the fuck are they doing? Or like, dude, when we'll be like on a trip, like, and like we'll just pop out of a van, everyone's just like, oh, so like you guys like a rock band? And just like, no. And it's just so funny. We're just like, oh damn, like the dude, same thing with like being in like the Zoomies van too. We're just like, you're in a big fucking huge van that says Zoomies on it. It's like,
yeah,
you fucking stick out
like a sore thumb.
just straight up. Or especially like if you're in a van and like we'll be in like a Santa Cruz trip and just like we all just pile out of this van to go to a Starbucks, and just like everyone's just like, whoa, and it's like everyone has fucking gear on and shit, and just like, oh, so you guys are somebody's, huh? And just like, oh, like in some fucking dumbass, like some fucking like random ass town in like the middle of like New Mexico or some shit, you know.
That's it. It's weird stuff like that just keeps me hanging on to it, you know. It's like, that's, to me, that I don't know, that's fun.
Hanging on
like
to what?
Just hanging on to skating. It's like the stuff like that, and people are like, those kids freaking weird, dude. But I'm just like, yeah, it's weird. I like it.
So who's on your radar of like of the up and up right now?
Right now?
Yeah, in your like neck of the woods, and like who from Fargo is killing it?
Are you? Well, Henry and
Henry
Malazzo.
Well, Malazzo doesn't even live there anymore.
He doesn't live here anymore, but he like kind of recently left in the last like year or two, I think. Like,
yeah, but his mom doesn't live there anymore, so like that's how I feel. Like my mom doesn't live there anymore, so it's like I'm not even like relevant.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like he's obviously like from around here, like going on the up and up.
Fuck, dude. Dude, Malazzo's the fucking best. Like he deserves everything he has coming his way.
And it's crazy because anytime I talk to anybody, I ask them that too, and then they're like, Malazzo. Like everybody just says it. Like that's just the word.
Malazzo.
Ariana for sure is.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I think Ronald is too, to tell you the truth. Like Ronald,
Sick.
like as like low key as like he might seem to some people, you watch his footage and like, I mean, he's out here like heel flipping blunt chase ledges. So like, that's not just like any trick that everybody does.
Damn, that's pretty sick.
You know? Yeah. So I think he's on there. Who else, man? Justice, like you said earlier.
Yeah, Justice.
For sure. 100%. Like, no doubt. Trying to think who else.
Malazzo's like in there.
Henry will ever, for sure.
Henry's doing a good job too.
Henry's very good. You know who's been killing it? Nico Positano's been like killing
Who's
it
that?
out, and like he's been skating at Fargo, like all those clips that Ariel's posting. He's look up his Instagram, you'll see him. That dude's killing it. I'm sure there's some names that I'm forgetting right now off the top of my head.
What's his Instagram name?
It's like Nico Positano. I think it's like Nico M Positano or something.
Is it with was it the C or a K?
You see, that dude like shreds some of like the gnarliest stuff. He's like jumping out. He has like a lot of crazy clips on his Instagram. But dude's really good.
Oh, I feel like I've seen this dude.
Who else? Omar. Do you know Omar skates at Fargo?
No.
Omar is another great example. That dude is so good.
Everyone loves hockey, huh?
Yeah, hockey's like, that's like a thing in the Midwest now. Everybody
hockey's
that I skate with has
everywhere.
Hockey.
Yeah, everyone rocks hockey.
It's blowing up. Do you see his Instagram though?
Yeah.
The dude's like, if you watch like any Fargo clip, like shredding. A lot of my buddies are also like really good, like Kyle Kraus, John Schmidt. They're very good. A lot of like the locals at GE, those cats are all really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you see like even people that are from the Midwest too. I mean, you look at like Ryan Klemecki coming from the Midwest, that's like been living out west for a while.
It's just such a weird thing where it's just like, I don't know, like my like relevance is like it like industry, like or just like I'm so like in this shit, which like I fucking like. Well, and like dude, like Ryan Klemecki, like I never knew, like I don't really like we don't know each other like personally. Like I know who he is, but like I don't know him like on a personal level or anything, like because all those fools are like all way before my time. I met Kevin Braun on a Santa Cruz demo. Like,
yeah, and he was just a kid at Naperville Park that was like rolling around with the rest of us. Like,
yeah,
dude just like kills it.
Dude, it's like the same thing with like it was just so funny, like meeting Kevin. Like it's just like, oh, because like Jason Jessen, he introduced me to Kevin, and he's like, oh yeah, Nick's from here. Do you know him? And he's just like, yeah, he's like, oh, like I know, like yeah, we like know like of each other and stuff, but it wasn't anything where it's just like, oh yeah, like what's up? But it's just such a weird thing where like now it's like, dude, like Kevin's like my fucking boy, like the whole Santa Cruz team is my family. It's such a weird thing to be. It's a weird thing to like. It's crazy still like to be a part of it all, and then like to see like how much push like Santa Cruz really has, and like how like versatile it was. Because like, when I was a kid, I didn't give a fuck about Santa Cruz. Didn't know shit about Santa Cruz. Didn't even fucking care. And it's just like when I moved to LA, like dude, when I moved to LA, before I even like got to like go on the Zoomies trip, I actually worked at Baker Boys. Like I wanted to film for Death Wish. Like I wanted to like do all that stuff because I worked for Volume 4. Well, I interned for Volume 4.
Yeah,
but dude, that was sick. That was so much. That was so cool. And then it was just like that. Just kind of goes in with like. I feel like once you're like in the mix, it's like you just got to go out and be out and like venture out and see people. Like met so many people from being at Kingsville, met so many people from going to like Chevy Chase, like to like the skate park and shit, and just like going to the Berrics and everything. And then it's just like, oh, you know one person. It's just like, oh, that one person knows like them. Like there's been so many people like that I've met through like Mario, and like I've like introduced Mario to other people that I've known, and it's just like everything just goes like full circle. And it's like that was like the big reason why I wanted to make the move out here, was because it's like I literally felt as if I did everything I could have done in Chicago with like filming skateboarding, and I didn't want to go to art school. I didn't want to go to like any sort of school and be in Chicago for 4 more years. I'm just like, I'm going to be here for 4. It's like I'm going to be stuck here for 4 more years. I'm not going to go anywhere that I want to go. It's like might as well make the jump. Like found a school like in LA, did that, and I'm like, well, if anything, it's just like, if anything, I tried.
You did.
It's like I'd much rather than be like I'm 18 years old. It's like I'll take the risk now, like rather than like wondering what if. And then it'd be easier to bounce back being like 18 than it would be like, oh, I'm 25, 26, now I'm trying to go make it in skateboarding. Where it's just like, yeah, I don't know. And it's just like maybe like I would have during that time, if I would have stayed in Chicago, I would have made like my first like full-length street video. But it's just like, I don't know. Like I want it to be like now, where it's just like now, like I'm trying to like work on something like a little bit more. But it's just so like hard. Well, it's just like hard where it's just like, oh, like I have so much stuff like with Santa Cruz and so much more like work, or just like, oh, like trying to go film like a video for myself, or just like I could go try and make a video for myself, or I can go get paid to make this other video. You know. Right. So. And
obviously, getting paid takes the cake. So it's like
you gotta pay rent.
And you're having fun.
Yeah. It's always fun. It's always super, super fun. And it's always like, even when there's like the stuff that is hard, like that's the stuff that makes it the most fun, because like the stuff that when you get put in like an uncomfortable position and you pull through, damn, there's no better feeling than that, where you're like, damn, this fucking looks good. Like I just did this I just made this Richter like commercial thing with Mario, and it's super funny because Cairo Foster's like the brand manager now, so just texting with Cairo Foster all the time, like it's just so sick. Oh damn, I've had a lot of sick. It's been like crazy, like these past like this year's been like really good, like
I'm glad
to be honest, like with everything going on, with like had that Berrics video come out yesterday, and like everything's been going super good because of that. And like 2 weeks ago, like I had the fucking like my Spitfire, like the Spitfire part with Fabi come out, and then like we're about to have this S-Set video with Santa Cruz come out, and it's like we're filming this East Coast video now, and then like working on this like Fabi part, and then we're about to have all these like Euro riders come to LA, and so like there's so much like shit just like going off right now. What was that
This is what I was gonna ask you. That reminded me. So that's the one weird thing about being a filmer, right? Because like everybody watches what we do. Everybody watches it. But how many times, like, I mean, obviously maybe like Mario, maybe like a couple people that you personally know, but other than that, how many times have people came up to you after like a big video that you worked on dropped and been like, yo, Nick, like that filming, like that video is so great. Like that doesn't happen very often, right?
It wouldn't be like a thing where yesterday I actually had something like that happen, but so I was like went to go meet up with like Paul Hart and like Joe Brzezinski, to go give like Paul a bunch of like some footage of my homie Trevor. And then one of the dudes who was working at like the warehouse that they like run, he was like, yo, like, you just had a Berrics video about your drop today. And I was like, yeah. He's just like, oh, no fucking way. Like, that was so fucking sick. And that was like the first time. But like most of the time, like, I'll get like a bunch of love and stuff, but it'll be like through like Instagram or something.
But you post it and share it. And
and then like people always like, and that's like, so that's always like super good to hear. And it's nice and it's reassuring too. And then it's also like one thing that I trip out about is like, when I'll go like hang out with other filmers like in the industry like here, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's like, you're like the big dog. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, for real? They're like, oh yeah, like when I was at like Dude Tour and stuff, everyone's like, oh, like, dude, like, yeah, like, so it's like, did you like it? Like, everyone's like making sure like I had a good time. It's like, I'm here to like, it's like, yo, like, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. It's like my first Dude Tour and stuff. And then, well, and it is. And it's just like, yo, like, I'm brand new to everything in here, especially with all this stuff. And it's just like, I'm not trying to like, overstep my welcome or like overstep my invite and not like push people. Right. And it's just like, it's like, yo, like, I want to get back on the circuit to fucking keep on doing Dude Tours.
Tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, well, and then they were like, oh yeah, like everything that you did was amazing. I was like, cool. So now I'm on now I'm on the Dude Tours now. And they're doing street Dude Tour at the Des Moines Park every year.
It's cool. See, that's cool. It's cool when people recognize you like that.
Well, and most of the time, like I know most of the filmers, like you would, like in skateboarding for this, it's like, especially in LA, like there's not a lot of filmers in skating. Like there are like, you have maybe like 20.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not a lot though for LA.
If that, but it's just like, you gotta think about where it's just like, for every like one filmer, there's like 12 people. Like, there's probably even a bigger number than that. Like, that's just from what I'm thinking from like Santa Cruz shit, where it's like, we'll go on like a super gnarly Santa Cruz trip, and it's just like, oh, you're the only guy. It's just like, oh shit.
Oh.
Which isn't bad, because it's funny, because it's nice to be like needed, and like you get to film with every single person and like make it happen. But then it just comes a point where we're like, oh fuck. Demos.
It's crazy. I never really like thought about it. That's perspective too. Like, I never really thought about it like that.
Like, it'd be like, oh, like Kevin Perez, for example. It's like he's like the April filmer, and like, but it's just like all like the big filmers all have like teams that they film for, like people who like they already go and do shit with, and so it's like trying to link up and do different things with like stuff can be kind of tricky sometimes, where it's just like, oh, like trying to go like skate with like Tim Fulton and like the real dudes, like the deluxe people. It's just like they're on their own program, and just like primitive, like try and go skate with like Alan Hannon and like Alex and like Kissinger, and it's like they're on their own fucking program. And it's just like everyone has their own thing, and everyone's doing so much different stuff, where it's just like everything, it almost just gets in like a loop cycle. And then
and then you go from one to the other.
And so like it's not too bad, but then it's just like, but like it's also like one of those things where like you have certain filmers who are like dedicated to certain teams, but it's just like, oh, for me, since I'm technically on like a freelance basis with like NHS and Santa Cruz, like I'm not under contract, but like I'm still like, that's still like my family. And it's like same thing with like Zoomies. It's like I don't like work for Zoomies, but like I work with Zoomies and I do so much with them, and they like help me out significantly. And it's like same thing with Santa Cruz. It's just like, to be honest, it's like I don't even care to film with anybody else. It's like if I had to like pick a team to film with like for the rest of my life, definitely pick Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Just from like so much that we've all like gone through and like worked together and like cross so many boundaries and barriers and fucking accomplish so many things. It's so cool to like think about that, and then like being a part of like our little Santa Cruz thing, but then it like expanding out even more to like people like in the warehouse and NHS and like everyone behind the scenes who like make it all happen, because it's like we're all like the forefront of everything. Like it's like we're the ones who like help, like we're seen like help bring stuff in, people see it, but it's also one of those things, but there's so much more that goes behind the scenes, like with all like the CEOs and like dude, it's like the people who are working in the warehouse and packing all the boxes and making all that happen. And just like brand managers and like CFOs and CEOs and like seeing like the social media team. It's like, dude, there's a whole entire social media team. There's like 4 people who run all the social medias for the whole entire distribution of NHS, and that's 9 different brands. But everyone has everyone has at least two things. Everyone has at least an Instagram and a TikTok. So it's like you're trying to create like content, and so that's like a big thing where it comes into my plate where it's just like, oh, I got to fulfill these certain requirements and like recommendations for things too, like, because essentially like for being like the media guy, it's just like, oh, I'm like the first domino to fall. Like I have to start and finish my job before anything else can happen.
Right. And it's like, that's the crazy thing too. It's like, not only are you just like a filmer, like on top of editing, like you have to fulfill these requirements that you're talking about. So format it for TikTok, format it for this, make sure everything gets sent in on time. Make sure you store it, make sure you have backups. Like there's like, I could just sit here and name things for the next 25 minutes. There's just so much more. Like, I think that's the one thing that...
But that just goes more with like a business side of things, where it goes to show where like, yes, I get like, yes, we are living a dream, but at the end of the day, there's still like a work aspect of everything. And it's just like, like being a part of like the market, like a marketing team, where it's like essentially like I'm part, like we're in marketing. It's like, you wouldn't think about it, you're like, oh, do you film and like an edit, like I'm in like production stuff, but it's like really you're in marketing.
Yeah, you are. It's crazy. I feel like I'm in marketing.
that's what I feel like that's what it is. It's all like content creation is just marketing, where it's just like, how can I show like the best product, like how can I show like the best potential for product A, B, and C using like my best things, or it's just like, how can I showcase this the best? Essentially, it's like everything goes into marketing, like how you line up a shot. It's like, it's artistically, it's because everything, especially with marketing, is like all like artistic based. You have like some stuff where it's more like logistics based, where it's just like, oh, based on these numbers and these calculations and these analytics that I've noticed, where like now we can make this proper like guess, but it's just like, or like this hypothesis or some shit, you know, where it's just like, and then like for being like a creative and stuff, where it's just like, it's like, oh, like I think this will be good. It's just like, I think this, like, well, it's like, I think this would make it look like the gnarliest it could be, you know, or it's just like, everything's just a gamble. It's all just marketing.
It's crazy. Analytics sometimes like will tell you wrong, even though you know you're doing right, and it like you just don't even know.
And there's so much different stuff where it's just like, dude, just like reading like the science of like analytics and fucking numbers and just shit, just like, because it's like one of those things too, where like Jeff Kendall, like the CEO of like NHS and stuff, like his biggest thing is the YouTube analytics. And he loves that shit, because like people always go based off looking on like views and be like, oh, this has X amount of views, like this has X amount of more views than this one, but it's just like, oh, but more people watch this. It's like everything's all about your watch time rather than your view count. And it's just it's like, oh, I never knew that. And just like, there's so much shit that goes into like everything that's just like, yeah.
And here we are at the very center of it. Oh,
right.
It's freaking crazy, dude. And it's all a numbers game and money, and we sit here thinking. I go to sleep and I think about this. I go to sleep and think about it. Like, I should not be going to sleep thinking about that. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, you just gotta crunch numbers and stuff. Make it happen.
It's all nuts. What was... I guess one last question, then I'll get to the very bottom of the pod, because I like to end the podcast on an advice segment.
Okay.
So the last question I was going to ask is, I sort of already asked it earlier, but not really. So what was it, out of like all the stuff that you've done, the first video that you ever filmed for like a big name, whether it was like, I mean, it was like with Zoomies or like whoever it was with, the first time, what was that feeling like when you dropped it? Were you like, I can't wait to like see what all these people say, or like how was that feeling? Because I know I've had stuff drop on like bigger platforms before, and I'm just like sitting there waiting for the comments to roll, and I'm like, ooh, what's everyone gonna say? You know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen? And I just refresh.
Damn, that's like a hard. I feel like maybe like one of the first things, like whenever you get to kind of do like a branded kind of sort of video, or just like, I remember like making like some stuff of like Sean, but like for character, And I remember like that was like a big thing. Like that was like a huge deal for me, where it's just like, oh, like just because it was the next step getting into the realm of where I wanted to go, and like having stuff where just like, oh, skateboard companies are recognizing me and recognizing like my work and like how everything goes, and just like, and then realizing that it's like, oh, all this like skaters want to film with you too and stuff. And then like the character and like the subsect stuff, it felt good. The only time I would really ever feel nervous would be like, it's like getting constructive criticism, where it'd be like, oh, could you change this? Where it's just like, now I like don't care, where it's just like, it for me at the end of the day, like doing something for like doing like, say like when I did this Richter video, like there's like certain things that I know were just like, oh, I'm cutting to like the NHS like format and formula, where there's stuff where just like, oh, there's some stuff where like I might be a little more like risky about things, and then it'd be like, oh, I don't know, but it's just like at the end of the day, we're just like, whatever the company wants, whatever the client wants, or it's like, oh, you want me to change this? It's like, it's not about what I want. It's just like, I don't fucking care. It's like, right. I want what you want. And so it's just like, I want to make sure that like everyone's happy and they got what they felt like they deserved, and like they're like above and beyond stoked at what they wanted. But to be honest, there's like, I'll say like it was a very different feeling making a video versus having a video about me. Or like I was more nervous about like the Berrics video that dropped yesterday, where I was like, I wonder how. There's a video
coming out about you, right?
It did. It came out yesterday.
Oh, I thought that was coming out today. I thought that was a promo for.
No, that's already live.
I'll watch the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's like a whole like 13-minute video like about me essentially. And just like,
that's so sick.
I was kind of tripping about that. Like I was more nervous for that, like, and how that was gonna get perceived versus than like something that I made. Where just like at the end of the day, we're just like, it's like, oh, like I'm just like a little credit at the bottom of a thing. But there's also, and then I guess like one of the working on like one thing that I do like look forward to is like watching like videos on like Thrasher or something, and then like having that little like name credit at the end, where it's just like, it's like, oh, filmed by, they're just like, oh, additional filming, where it's just like, dude, like,
I remember when it got spelled wrong one time.
Get spelled wrong? I used to get spelled wrong all the time.
I remember this.
But that's fine. That's not like a big deal. I don't fucking care. It's like, well, and it's like one of those things too, where since it's such a frequent thing, and it's like people know my name, where it's just like, dude, there's not really like another Nick Hanson who's like filming and shit. And I feel like I feel like too with that name, where it's not very bland. Like it sounds like it's like, oh, like this is like a name. I'm like word, like I'm like cool. I'm like, yeah, I got a good name. 'Cause you know, people have like other actor names and shit. We're just like, people are like, oh, I've changed my name to this, so it sounds fucking sicker. We're like, oh, I got a fucking dope ass name. Go fuck. It rings. It like rolls off the tongue very well.
Like, what's his name? Goes by like Popcorn.
Who?
Or that skater is like out. There's like a skater. It's like out west. I forget his real name, but he goes by like Popcorn. Is like his like stage name or whatever. And it's like now that's all I remember him as. I don't remember his real name anymore.
Oh, it's like Lizard King and stuff.
Yeah,
Mike Plum. And like fucking Trainwreck and shit. Like.
Yeah, but you're like I'm Nick. It's like, hey, I'm only Nick Hanson. That's sick.
But it's and it's like for like those video things too, where it's just like, I feel like if it's something that's like for me now, or if it's something that's behind like a company name, it's like I'm not really too nervous about it, unless it's something where it's just like, oh, like I don't know. I don't know if I really get like too nervous, because I know like my place, and I know like what to create, and I know how to make something look amazing in a sense, where it's just
absolutely.
Like, now I'm not so nervous in a point where now I'm excited, where it's just like, oh, I did this video. It's like, oh, this video fucking ruled. Like I fucking like went the fuck in.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Where it's just like, oh, like everything's a lot more dialed, where it's not like, oh, I don't like know or something, where it's just like, it's like, oh, like even stuff like where it's just like, oh, like edit, it's like, oh, I'll just fix this shit in post. We're just like, it's like, damn, fucking made this shit like dope. But like this Richter video, like I'm hyped on. Like I have this Richter video that's about to come out, and then I have this mob video that's about to come out too. that are like
send me links, or I'll just like look on the internet.
They haven't come out yet. The Victor videos supposed to come out tomorrow. It just like, you know who like this filmer like Bobby Bills is? You ever like heard of him?
I've actually heard that name. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like gnarly. He's like one of the best fucking filmers in skating right now. But he's so fucking sick. But like everyone has like, he's like the dude, and so it's just like for like Rikta and like Mob and all that stuff, like they really love like all the stuff that he's been doing. And so I've basically just been like curating like that, and just been like, so like having like a little bit of some Bobby flavor, but with the Nick Hanson finish, you know.
Yeah.
There you
go. That's what you gotta do, dude.
My camera's like, blinking. My camera's about to die. Damn, we talked for like a minute. I didn't realize that we talked for such a long time.
We did quick advice segment then. We'll wrap it up. Give it like quick 1 minute elevator pitch advice. So someone is looking to like drop their 9 to 5 and go out and like move to a different country and pursue their dream, so to speak. What is your one thing to tell them? Like,
move to another country? Dude, it's one of those things too where like, one of those things that I looked at was like, since I lived in Chicago, like, since I moved out of Iowa and I lived in Chicago, it's like, if anything, if nothing would have worked in like, if nothing would have worked in LA, then I could still go back to Chicago. Chicago's a much more like prestigious and prominent city compared to living in Iowa. You know, just like, if it's something where it's like, especially with you, where it's just like coming from like a bigger city and moving to another major city, where it's just like, what's the worst thing that could happen? It's like, you'd rather take the leap of faith and take the leap of faith for yourself, and like put the confidence into yourself. You know, it's just like, it's confidence not everything can like people can like hold your hand through life and shit, but it's like, that's not how it's gonna work. That's not how you're gonna prevail. The people tell me, they're like, oh yeah, so how old are you? Like, you're like 32, 33. I was like, fool, I'm fucking 24. Like, what the fuck? Like, or people would be like, oh yeah, you've been skating since like what, like 90, 92, 93? I'm like, dude, I was born in 97. Like, but it just goes to show where it's just like, I don't know, like, take the risk. Or just like, take the risk. Where it's just like, but you have to give it 110%. You have to get everything like with filming skating, it's like I had like to go like make it happen. Like I can't just be like, nothing's gonna happen sitting in your room fucking like wishing shit was different. Go make it different.
You gotta do the play, not the talk.
110%. You gotta just give it your all. It's like, even if anything, it's like you look back at it and you're like, oh, at least I tried.
Right.
At least I gave it, at least for your peace of mind and your like, it's like, I gave it 110. I gave it 110 of my percent to try.
Exactly.
Just try. Just gotta try. Well, it's one of those things too, where just like, believe in yourself. And it's also like, what happened with me is like, it didn't happen just because of me. It happened because of like, of an amazing group of people that I had in skateboarding. But it's just like, it's also like, well, and it's like you connect and you build, and like, it's also one of those things too, where it's just like, just be nice, be a good person, be the homie, like go kick it, and like be there, like be the support, be the hype. Like, you know, there's so much more that goes into filming than just being the person who hits the record.
Right. Be the person that everyone wants to be. I like that.
And it's such a hard thing too, where it's like, it's such a weird thing, because people are like, oh, I want to like film skateboarding too, or just like, dude, like my like the circumstances that I had and what I was given is so like so different, personal to me, where just like everyone's story and journey is completely different. Like, you can talk to Tim Fulton, his story is completely different. You talk to Kevin Perez, his story is completely different. You talk to Bobby Bills, you talk to Adam Mills, like you talk to anybody, and like everyone, where it's just like everyone has different. A whole different come up. It's like, even with pro skaters, it's like you have some stuff where it's like, oh, you're from you're from Southern California, of course, easy. But it's just like, you have so many different people from like the Midwest, or coming from like such different rural areas, or coming from like Europe or some crazy ass country, where it's just like,
oh, camera died. Alrighty, well, I guess that's a good way to end it on that advice. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, you made it here, you're a freaking champion for listening. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this, or if you're new here. more to come with more creative people. I try to do every other episode with someone, or sometimes back-to-back, so maybe this one will be a back-to-back one. But that's what this podcast is about. Hopefully you enjoyed, and have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.